Hey everyone, this is Kathy from Kato Handmade, and I wanted to welcome you to the add-on video for the Full Moon River. Now this is a larger version. It has additional features, and it is the larger, more sophisticated, I like to call it the more sophisticated sister to the Moon River. So what this pattern has is it has a couple options for your front panel. Obviously it's a larger size, and it has a couple options. So you could do a split panel, top and bottom. There's another option to do a split down the center, and the construction methods are the same. I'll go over that as we get to it, but you're just going to create your outer panel. The other thing that is different with this one is there is the additional option of adding purse handles. So as you can see here in the picture, you can add some purse handles with there are several different strap anchor options included in the pattern. So I'm going to be using this little kind of diamond shaped one, and I'll show you that as we get to that. Other than that, that is the only thing that is different with the add-on, with the Full Moon River add-on. All the other construction, all the other everything is the same as the original Moon River. So if you don't have the Moon River pattern, you will need to get that, because that will provide you the full instructions on how to assemble the Moon River. All right, so I am doing the split upper and lower version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of each. This is the top and the bottom. I'm going to flip it over and clip it together along this straight edge here. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other panel. I'm going to take them to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew them both at the same time. So I'm just going to add these clips along the bottom here. Okay, now I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew along this bottom straight edge here according to the seam allowance that is provided in the pattern. Okay, once you get those sewn together, you're going to press the panels away from each other, and then you're going to top stitch. On this version here, I top stitched right along the bottom panel piece. You have the option of, I have a little string here, you have the option of pressing the seam allowance up, and then you could top stitch along the top panel. You could also, as you can see on the back, I pushed it down. You could also butterfly the seam open and do a line of stitching on either side of that seam. That is just options for you, whatever you prefer in this matter. Like I said, this is just the one that I'm doing towards the bottom here, and that's just my personal preference. Okay, so once you have your center panels completed, these are all done. You can set them to the side. I will say, if you are adding a logo, there is a measurement provided in the pattern for where I recommend you put your logo on this panel, and I probably will add my logo off camera, but I will do that centered here as well. Okay, so now we are ready to move on to creating our strap anchors. Okay, to create our strap anchors, you're going to need 4 cutouts of whatever strap anchor style that you have selected. So you will cut 4 of those out. You will also need your 4 D-ring connectors that will go with each one of those. And then I also recommend some Fabri-Tac here, some glue. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, on the backs of each of these, it'll be the same process for each strap anchor. So on the back, I've placed a piece of double-sided tape, and then I'm going to add a little piece of Grosgrain ribbon down the center, and then I'm going to add another piece of double-sided tape right on top of that. Okay, removing that paper backing. Then I'm going to grab my glue. I'm just going to add some glue on one side here, just following that shape, trying to not get too heavy with the glue. And then I'm going to add one of my rectangle rings on top of that, bringing it to the center, and then matching up my strap anchor shape. So I'll match it up as close as I can. We may need to do a little bit of trimming at the end, but we'll see how that goes. It's going to add some clips to help hold that glue. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat the process for the other 3 strap anchors. Okay, so once we have all 4 strap anchors prepared to this extent, we can set these to the side. We're going to let them dry. And while they're drying, we're going to create the handles. And then hopefully by the time we're done with the handles, these will be set and we'll be ready to attach them to our bag. Okay, so to create our 2 handles, we are going to need our 2 lengths of our whatever material we're using. Here I'm using cork. You could also use webbing, and I would recommend using 1-inch webbing in that case. And then you're not double folding it, you're only going to fold it once, and then the end construction would be the same. But for this, since we're using cork, I'll show you how we're going to do this. Here on the back side, I've already marked a line that is it's half of the way into the center of that strap. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of double-sided tape down the long side of each strap, or down the long side of each of that center line that I've marked. Okay, and now we're going to remove the paper backing. And we're going to fold each long side. There we go. We're going to fold each long side up to where that center line is marked. And just press our material in place. Okay, so as you can see, I have marked a spot here on the strap that this is going to be where we're going to fold it, and this is going to be our mark. You could always move that mark to the outside so it's easier to see, but there is a measurement provided in the pattern for how far up from the edge of the strap you're going to make this mark. Same here. I'm just going to add that to the outside so it's a little bit easier to see. Now we have a couple options here. You can do this part first, and then you would have to stitch your strap ends after the center part is folded. I think for this one, I'm going to stitch my ends first because that'll help me to get up a little bit closer to where this mark is going to be, if that makes sense. Because if we stitch here first, it's going to be real hard to get stitched all the way, you know what I mean, to stitch all the way up to there. So I'm going to, let me see here. I'm just going to bring this mark around to the front so I can see it. And there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch up, straight across, and then back down. So up to this marked line, straight across, and then back down. I'm going to do that to both ends of my strap. Okay, so that is stitched, as you can see here, to the end. I went ahead and did a box around the square, or, you know, just to the end, and then around the end here, did the same thing to this end. And now we are ready to go ahead and fold this in half. So with the back side up, that's the part where you folded it in, we're just going to fold this in half to meet here in the center, and I'm going to clip it in place, and I'm going to clip it all the way down to where that mark is, which will also be to where your stitch line is. So your stitch line is a real easy way to you know, make sure you have it lined up correctly as well. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. And as you can see here, the stitch line lines up right there. So then when we begin stitching here, you're not going to be able to tell that we started and stopped. So we're going to leave some long tails, because we're going to tie these off and tuck them inside. And then you're going to drop your needle right there in that hole, and then stitch along this open edge here. You're going to stitch all the way to the other side. Again, drop your needle right in that hole, leave long tails, and then we're going to come back and we will finish it off. Okay, so here's our strap sewn down the center here, matched up perfectly with where we started and stopped, right there with our end stitching. So I've left long tails on each side. And then what we want to do now is you just want to kind of pull it open a little bit, and then we're going to try to pull both of these strings through to the inside. And I find that if I do one a little bit, then I can kind of pull the other one over as well, and then grabbing both loops at the same time. There we go. They're both in the center. All right, so now I'm going to tie this off. I'm just going to do maybe 2 or 3 little ties, probably 3, just to make sure. Okay, and then how we're going to bury this thread end, instead of just cutting it off, then we will just have some loose threads. You know, we'll just have some threads sticking out, and I don't really want to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread both of my thread ends onto a needle, and then bringing it up, I'm going to go in. Let's see if I can get my strings out of the way so you can see. I'm going to go in to the center of my strap and then come out in, I don't know, an inch or so. So my thread ends will be tucked away. Let me trim this off here. There we go. All right, so as you can see, the threads are kind of just hidden away. You don't see it at all. And this is a heat erasable pen, so I'll be able to remove that, no problem. Okay, so that's how that's looking. We are going to do the same thing to the other side with pulling the threads to the center, and then we're going to, again, tie it off. Okay, so there is our strap. Ends are tucked away, which is just what we want. Everything is looking good. I will use a little bit of heat to remove these little pen marks before we continue. But now we're going to do the exact same steps to the other strap, and then we will be ready to attach our strap to our bag. Okay, so both of our straps are done. We can set these to the side, and then let's grab our strap anchors and our main panels. All right, friends, so now that we have our one main panel, we have our 2 strap connectors for that side. There is a measurement provided in the pattern, and I've just made a little dot at each spot to help me figure out where I'm going to be placing the edge of my strap anchor. There is also in the pattern, there is also a strap placement guide. So that will help you, and I have that for this version, and I also have it for the one with the split down the center. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little dab of glue onto the back side of both of these. A little circle of glue. And you don't have to do this. You could use double-sided tape, or if you feel comfortable enough with just holding it in place, you could do that as well. So I'm lining up the top edge and the left side of my strap anchor with that little dot that I marked as the placement guide. I'm just going to push this down because I want to make sure, I'm going to use my ruler in just a second. I want to make sure that these are even, you know, straight across, and then also same distance down from the top. So I'm just going to do that, and yes, yeah, they look pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to let those, just kind of hold them here for, I don't know, 60 seconds or so, just to kind of help them set up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch around this box. So stitching across the bottom here, and then around whatever shape you chose for your strap anchor, we're going to stitch those in place, and then we are going to do the exact same steps, measuring, marking, stitching. We're going to do that for the other panel as well. Okay, I just wanted to show, after I get both of these strap anchors stitched on, I have left long tails, so I'm going to flip it to the back side, and I'm going to pull these tails through to this side so that I can tie them off in the back, and that will just to help to hide where I have started and stopped on the front of the panel. So just pulling the long tails to the back, tying them off. Maybe I'll do probably three knots on this one as well. Tie that off. There we go. And then same for this one, getting those loops to come through. There we go. Once I have the 4 strings on the back side, I'll be tying them off as well. 3 knots on this side. There we go. All right. So that is our strap anchors attached. The last thing you need to do, if you want to, totally optional, is to just add a rivet in the center. Let's see, I got a little string here. There we go. You can add a civet, that's a center rivet, civet. Add a center rivet to the strap anchors, and then this panel is done. We'll do the same thing to the other panel, and then I'll be back. All right, strap anchors are placed on both panels. So now the last thing we have to do here is to attach our strap handles. So what you're going to do, I'm going to put one to the side. You're going to take your strap, and you're going to flip it over so it is that wrong side, or where we folded it into the center. You're going to have that part up, and you're going to feed it through your D-ring. Now you're going to pull it over where you can, this is probably about 1 inch. So what you want to do is you want to be able to have it flat against the other half of your strap. For instance, if I were to pull it up here, you know, you would see that from that side. So if you have it down to about right here and you flip it over, as you can see, you can't see that at all. I think that's probably about 1 inch. Let's see, where's my ruler? Yeah, that's like exactly 1 inch. So folded it over about 1 inch. I'm going to clip it in place, and then I'm going to bring the other strap handle around. So I'm looking at the folded side where we stitched. So this is what I'm calling the underside of the strap. I'm going to do the same thing, feed it through on that side, and then let me measure. I want my straps to be even. There we go. Okay, I'm going to clip that in place. Okay, now the last thing we need to do here is we need to, you have 2 options. You can take it over to the sewing machine. You could stitch a line just straight across here. You could also stitch a box around here, securing the strap end, or you could also do a ribbon. So I think I'm going to stitch a line across the top here. I don't think I'm going to do a box. I think I'll just stitch straight across, and then I will add a rivet so it ties in with the rivets on the strap anchors. All right, here is our panels with our strap handles attached. Looking so cute. This reminds me of the beach, and now I want to go to the beach. Okay, so what we're going to do now is this completes the full Moon River tutorial, the version that is a little different from the original Moon River. So these are the steps you will create if you're making the full Moon River. Again, you would top stitch this panel down, and like I said earlier, you have options on how you want to top stitch that. As far as the one with the center panel, I would recommend pressing your seam allowances either in towards the center and top stitching down the center, or butterflying it open and doing a double stitch on each side of the seam all the way down. I think that would look really nice. Okay, so now the other pieces that you're going to need is you have your gusset pieces, you will have your base, you will have your lining with optional zipper pocket, you will have obviously your zipper, and then you will have your 2 D-rings. If you're adding the D-rings, 2 zipper pulls, that will be for your top zipper. Okay, and then once you have all your pieces, we are going to, and here we are, our full Moon River is complete. I got to do a little more work to shape out the corners and the sides, but I think it turned out so cute. I love this print, I love this cork. It's got the base. I just did some little random squiggly lines to kind of match the cork here. But yeah, here it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Again, this is the full Moon River. This is the add-on, which is the full Moon River is the larger, a little bit more sophisticated version of the Moon River, which was the 2023 Holiday Sew Along bag. So if you are following along, you will use the Moon River, the original Moon River pattern, to complete the steps to make your full Moon River. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a lot of fun. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you go sew something fun.